Hey guys, what's going on? It's If You Have to Pick Three. I'm Matt.
I'm Zach.
And if you haven't joined us for one of these podcasts before this one, we both give nominations for a top three in a particular category. And then at the end, we both duke it out, whether we actually end up punching each other or not, as to which one of us gets more on this top three list.
I've lost 2 teeth in the process.
You have. You look fabulous. You look like a hockey player.
Thank you.
All right. So this time... we have to come to an agreement on a final top three list. Let's just be clear on that.
Yeah.
So, what are we doing this time?
This time, we're going to be debating the greatest music videos of the 90s.
One of the greatest decades of music, period.
Well, so what's really, I love this topic because we could go into huge debates about songs itself, but the music video itself, it started off as a popular format of promotion in the 80s. But I would argue that it was during the 90s that it became really a significant art form, as well as a really important vehicle for any artist, whatever genre you were in. In the 90s, you needed a phenomenal music video. And I feel like every artist in every genre stepped up their game in regards to the music videos. I mean, MTV was at the height of the popularity. If you weren't on MTV, you weren't popular. And it was just a wide range of different types of music videos too.
Yeah, and I really wish that we could have an interview with somebody who worked at MTV in the 90s and, fought for music videos and things like that, and now what their take is on the current state of what MTV actually is like.
And I think we'll get into this with our picks, but it is interesting, whereas there are certain videos that were out in the 90s that could only have been popular in the 90s. If you try to even get them on TV now, it would never make it past the front desk, let alone
absolutely.
Executives.
And I think one of my first ones is going to actually be one of those.
So, well, in that case, how about you start us off with your top three?
Okay, so I will preface this by saying that I did like music videos. I wasn't as crazy about them as other people were. I watched them. I dug what they were. I remember watching them on the box late at night, like at 11:30 when I don't know if this is on wherever you are, but it used to be a channel that you could call into and make a selection for a video, and you'd have to pay like $1 to watch the video. And you just watch people program this thing as it's on TV. I always thought it was pretty cool, but definitely the more popular format would have been MTV. But yeah, I remember coming home and wanting
VH1.
Yeah, maybe VH1, but I remember like TRL.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you watched TRL, or at least I watched TRL to see what was, the biggest music videos in the country that week. So yeah. That's
So what is your first pick?
So we're going to start off all right. Since I mentioned it already, I'll start off with it. This music video, like you mentioned, would not be popular today if it came out, just because it's not visually flashy. If you think about all the music videos that came out in the 90s, they were all very big productions. Like one of the ones that just comes to my mind more vividly is Puff Daddy and Mace, Mo Money, Mo Problems. It's just this
that's my top
flashy production. And, people were starting to get into graphics and things like that. The computer was starting to ramp up as to what people could actually do on it and produce and, show on TV. It was nothing like Dire Straits' Money for Nothing with like the square people and the very crude computer graphics. It was starting to get really good at this time. But this video for Jamiroquai's Virtual Insanity,
good one.
It was very simplistic in its nature. It's just a guy singing into a camera, but then on a sound stage, they have a room set up, and then they're just sliding the room as he's dancing inside of the box. And then occasionally there's like some black crows that flew in. I don't understand what that was.
But I forgot about the Black Crows.
Yeah.
Not the band.
Not the Black Crows or the Counting Crows.
No one could forget the Black Crows.
Yeah. But they just took this little stage and slid it around, and it was really cool, the effect that it produced, because it was very different. It wasn't anything that anybody had ever tried or ever done before. And it actually won Video of the Year in 97.
I was going to say, that came out in 97, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. I loved that video. And I love the song too. I mean, Jamiroquai's other stuff outside of Canned Heat that they did for Napoleon Dynamite, it's
I forgot that, yeah.
But this was a really cool song and a really cool video. So that's number one.
All right. What's your second? I mean, if you're doing it in order,
No,
awesome.
I'm just saying number one.
So what's your second?
How I wrote it.
What's your second pick?
My second pick. All right, I've got 4 on here because I'm not sure which one I wanted to go with. So the second one I'm going to go with is another type of visual trickery that was done at the time. And it really made, because I never heard of the band before I saw this video. And I'm like, were they really on Happy Days? Or was it just kind of like how did they do this? For Weezer's Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they came in with the intro that it was filmed before a live studio audience. And like I'm watching it and they got all the characters from Happy Days in here and the Fonz's dancing around. And it's like, was the band really on Happy Days? Is this just a band that I don't know about and they sound really good and they've been around for a really long time? Or how did this happen? However they did it, and I'm still kind of mind blown by it today. But
considering the time as well, like I mean, nowadays, like all right, there's enough CGI, but this was the 90s.
This was the 90s, right? That wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah,
like I said, this is all just visual trickery, and it was sliced and produced a certain way. I don't know how it was done, but I actually kind of like that. I don't know how it was done because it still leaves that little bit of magic to it. Yeah. Now it's computers.
Yeah,
everybody computers. That was just there, and it was a thing that happened, and it really just stuck with me, and I think it makes it one of Weezer's iconic videos. Like,
absolutely.
Beverly Hills and Island in the Sun, they have interesting videos.
But this one, I would argue that this is the video that introduced everyone.
Yeah, it introduced Weezer to the world, and they did it in a very bold statement because, like I said, I didn't know if they were actually a band or not.
Yeah.
So coming into it in that perspective, it really it still resonates with me today. And I'm sure you can tell in my voice that this is insane. Yeah. I love this video.
All right. So the third final pick.
Okay. So I'm going to have to go with this one. And I have a feeling this one might be on your list as well. Even though I know it's probably not going to be. But just because of who the band is, it might be on your list. When you think of the 90s and you think, what were some of the biggest rock songs in the 90s? If November Rain doesn't come to your mind, you're sadly mistaken. But if there was ever a video that was synonymous with a song and the most epitomous of what that song was about, it would be November Rain. And the guy who directed it, his name's Andy Morahan. I think I said that right.
Yeah.
He did this one. He did Estranged. So he did kind of like the series of videos.
It was the trilogy. It was like the Don't Cry, November Rain, and Estranged trilogy.
Yeah. Right. So
Guns N' Roses they're so huge they're having trilogies
for music videos.
Keep
in mind, music videos.
Yeah.
But if you think about what the video had a story being told about, finding somebody who you love, getting married, them dying. But then there's also a huge vocal performance from Axl playing the piano, and then the chorus behind him on the stage, and then Slash outside of a church with a helicopter flying by, flinging his hair around, soloing. Like, if that was done today, that'd be done with a drone.
Yeah.
And I would make the argument that it wouldn't be nearly as huge as it was.
Of course not.
But if you watch the video, listen to the song and the lyrics and just the feeling that the video and the song played with together, it's just very iconic.
So I didn't actually put that on my top 3 list because
Wow.
I try to stay away from that because I felt it was too easy of a pick. However, I will say it's one of my personal favorite videos, and it also was the one that made me want to play guitar because seeing Slash, I mean, we're talking about all these iconic scenes of him Slash outside of a church, the funeral and everything. But the most iconic thing to me about that video and what made me want to play guitar was seeing Slash standing on top of a grand piano while a whole orchestra is behind him and just doing the like seeing him just rock out that was such an epic moment. And it was the most simple moment of an otherwise huge grand video. That still, just watching that at a young age, I was just in awe of Slash just being so badass. And it was even more iconic months later when Guns N' Roses actually played that song at the VMAs with Elton John, which is also kind of fitting because that song was inspired by Elton John. Like Axl Rose wrote November Rain so that he could have an Elton John song, essentially. Mm-hmm. And to see not only Elton John and Axl Rose doing dueling pianos during that outro, but then having Slash on top of both pianos with the guitar solo, it really is one of the most badass moments of all time. So it was tough. I was going to pick that one, but like, no, you know what? It's just too obvious. So,
and fun fact, the guy who directed that video also directed the music video for Wham's Last Christmas.
Great. That's an anthem. I have a great story about that song, but I'm going to save it for another time.
All right. So we went through mine. What's your list?
So the first pick was actually kind of a tie between a few alternative rock songs, but I'm going to go with this one. Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun. Now, what was so exciting about the 90s was that you had bands like Nine Inch Nails, Pearl Jam, even Nirvana, doing gritty, uncomfortable videos. Videos that just made you like almost have to watch it again just to hear the song because it was so like visually despairing. And to me, the Soundgarden video for Black Hole Sun, I mean, first off, that song is possibly one of the best ballads of the 90s.
Oh, no doubt.
And the video, it really is almost, to me, the quintessential 90s alt-rock video in the use of its overexposed colors, the use of its like disfigured faces, and the Leave It to Beaver perfect, suburban community with weird faces, and the cheesy 90s computerized graphics that they added in towards the end to, capture the black hole, essentially the apocalypse. Like, it's just one of those, while it might not be the most visually perfect video and looks a little outdated compared to what we have today, if you're making a parody of 90s music videos, I almost feel like you're going to be slightly copying that video in its tone, in its gloominess, in its just contradicting images. So I'm going with Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden as my first pick.
And it's funny when you talk about doing visually disturbing videos. I hope you don't have this on your list because I actually nixed it off of mine. I actually had Nine Inch Nails closer at one point in time.
All right. I went with Black Hole Sun as my alternative pick.
You're right.
The other, I was torn between either that or Nine Inch Nails Closer, because that really is, like, that's a song that song alone could not be a hit now. Only in the 90s could that have been a radio mainstream rock hit.
It's still played on the radio.
And it's still played on the radio, but it's just one of those, like, if it came out now, no one would listen to it. And it's incredible. And the video is disturbing there.
Right. The video, the reason why I actually nixed it off of my list was just because you couldn't watch the video unless either A, you're watching it on YouTube now, or B, you had to wait in the 90s to like 11:30 to watch the actual video because of all of the stuff that was in it.
But whereas Black Hole Sun, even though like it primarily got played late in the hours, it kind of crossed into the like main, like the evening time slots, maybe even like early in the morning. But so going back, Black Hole Sun, I just think is the iconic alt rock music video.
Okay.
Even more so than Smells Like Teen Spirit, which is another video I was toying with putting in
That's
as well.
some big words.
Yeah.
It's
some big words, okay. But I mean, hey, you didn't pick that song either. So.
I didn't, and there's reasons why I didn't pick it.
Overplayed?
Not that it's overplayed, but from a visual standpoint and from the song was iconic.
Yes.
The video, not so much.
I would disagree. That was such an iconic video.
With
I
still think
cheerleaders.
You don't know that they're goth cheerleaders.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
They're just standing there. They're like blurred out and they're just shaking pom poms. I would argue that the video was not as good as anything that I picked to put on my list.
I agree, but I digress. Neither of us picked it anyway.
Yes.
So recap: Black Hole Sun, Soundgarden, my first pick.
Yes.
Second pick: Alanis Morissette, Ironic.
That was the fourth one on my list.
Really?
Yes.
So I'm going to make a bold statement. I feel like Alanis Morissette might be the quintessential 90s artist, solo artist. She had so many hits in the 90s. She represented such a strong female musician at the time. And her songs were just so personal, so catchy. And you could, even her music videos for all of her singles had something memorable about them. But I went with Ironic because it's such a simple music video, simple concept where it's essentially 4 versions of Alanis Morissette in a car driving, going somewhere. It's got such a simple twist where it turns out it was her the whole time, just a single driver. And it's just visually, as soon as you see it, it's like, oh yeah, that's the Ironic music video. It's still a song that's even parodied and a music. It's like just seeing her with the winter hat on and the scarf, looking like she's making a road trip through Canada. Like, it just stands out. So I went with Alanis Morissette's Ironic, second pick.
And in a sea of overproduction in music videos and big and
it
flashy.
Wasn't overproduced. Yeah.
Yeah. And another one of those, just it's not overproduced. It's, for what the song is, it's perfect.
When you look at it, you just know it's the 90s.
Yes. That's
kind of also why I went back with going back to Black Hole Sun. You knew when you saw it, it was the 90s, which is what makes it kind of special too. And what makes it, whereas I'll talk about this later when we debate the top 3, but that's what makes those 2 videos so special. You know, it's the 90s.
Okay.
My third pick. I'm looking at you straight in the eye. I'm excited to see your reaction to this one.
Go on.
Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby One More Time.
This has been an Epic Footnote production. It's been so great that you guys have followed us for this long. And now that Zach has killed off our listener base, thank you, Zach.
You have to hear me out. So say what you will about her, about Britney Spears, even about the song. But this music video, as it propelled her into the huge superstar that we know her as today, as soon as you saw her in the schoolgirl outfit with her tying up the shirt into the knot, like, it is such an iconic visual of 90s pop mainstream. It's just such a strong visual. It brings back so many memories of when you're in 5th grade being like, oh, she's so hot. Or even just like, again, it just goes back to like, that was the dawn of the huge pop stardom that you saw in the late 90s going into the 2000s. That made her what everyone compared to the next Madonna. It's still one of those outfits. I mean, I bet you that if she showed up at an award show dressed up in the schoolgirl outfit, everyone would go bonkers just because it's such a iconic visual. And the whole video, it's just the definition, like I said, the definition of 90s pop.
We have no more listeners now. So
I bet you have a lot more listeners. I think I might have made my wife really happy because this
my
is probably the only
loneliness
artist.
is killing me right now because we have no more listeners. It took a lot of time to get 5 listeners, and now we have none.
I must confess, I still believe. Fun fact, I'm only 90% sure that we're saying the lyrics to the right song.
No, we are.
Are we?
We are.
I think the fact that you know that.
You picked the music video.
I didn't say the song. The music video is different from the lyrics.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Literally for that song.
That's not the point. You might not be like that tuned into this. Like, that's the thing about what made also music videos so vital is that it, in some cases, it could either make people notice an incredible song, or it could hide the fact that, hey, this is not that great of a song, but here's a flashy video. And to me, this was the epitome of flashy pop music videos.
I would say that the 6th grade me would probably say, yes, it's best on mute. But
family show.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it could just be I'm looking at a hot girl.
But to me, I think it's just still an iconic visual music video. I can already tell that one's not going to make it to the top final 3. But before we start going,
if you'd like to email us, it's epicfootnote@gmail.com. Let Zach know exactly how you feel.
I feel like that could backfire. We're going to get a lot of creeps being like, yeah, I do like that music video. So don't email us. We just
this is the internet. People let us know one way or another.
That's true. Just leave comments. Don't email us. All right. So to recap, Matt, real quick, what was your 3 again?
Top 3: Virtual Insanity from Jamiroquai, Buddy Holly from Weezer, and November Rain from Guns N' Roses.
All right. And mine were Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun, Alanis Morissette, Ironic, and yes, I stand by this one, Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby One More Time. Now, I can just to spare us from more debate so that we can go over music videos that we both really like. I'm willing to put Britney Spears aside, even though I would actually I still stand by that one. If I didn't think that you're already walking out the door right now, I would fight for it a little bit longer, but I'm willing to...
The top hat is on. The lights are being flipped.
I would put that one off to the side. So, all right, Britney Spears, we're putting off to the side for right now.
Okay.
Maybe I'll bring it back up later.
All right.
I'm going to actually argue. So I gushed about November Rain.
Mm-hmm.
I praise it. I mean, I would argue when it comes to my personal favorite music videos, that's definitely up there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're gotta remember, we're doing 90s music videos.
Yes.
To me, November Rain is captures the end of a certain era in rock music. It was, I would say, the last hurrah of 80s glam hair metal. Because if you look at the dynamic shift, by the end of 91, they were still kind of hot, but then we get into 92 and suddenly the Lollapalooza scene is really starting to kick gear. We got the grunge movement. We got bands who are all over the place like Red Hot Chili Peppers. We got darker bands like Nine Inch Nails who are starting to make more headway in mainstream. So I would argue, as great of a music video as that was, I would call it, for when we're talking about 90s music videos, I have a hard time naming November Rain.
What year was Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 released?
91.
Okay. So that makes it 90s.
I understand it. I know. Listen, yes, technicalities. It is a 90s fit, but to me, I look at it and it is the end of an era.
It's only the end of an era if you want to think of Guns N' Roses as hair, like the glam hair metal scene. I would consider Guns N' Roses to be, and a lot of people are probably maybe going to argue this, but I would consider them just to be, at this point, you would say that they're a timeless band. They have the ability in the late 80s to make you feel like it was the late 80s. You know, they came on the scene and they were just out there and brash, just like Motley Crue was. But Motley Crue, because of the way that they used women in their lyrics and the way that the band presented themselves, they were still in the epitome of hair and glam, like Poison and bands like that. Motley Crue, I would say, isn't as timeless as Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses had this. Go ahead.
I'm going to stop you right there for a second. Motley Crue is not timeless.
No, they're
not. They
are
not even like less timeless. Like they are a pure 80s metal band.
Right.
And I agree that Guns N' Roses were able to get out of that stigma a little bit. But again, if we were talking about greatest music videos, I would be like, yeah, let's include November Rain. But I'm talking about with the 90s, Jamiroquai. What was the other picture? Weezer. Those videos, I'm like, yeah, that's the 90s. Like that just like reminds me of that time.
That's okay, but that's and I'm gonna kick myself for saying this. Jamiroquai was more pop 90s, and 90s pop is just that. It's iconic. It is. Okay.
Sorry, continue. I'm not laughing at you. Okay. I am.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Weezer was a band of the 90s at all grungy, poppy, infusion. They kind of took everything that was there and just kind of balled it up together and made it feel okay for everybody to accept them. Guns N' Roses, once again, I feel like if you watch videos for Welcome to the Jungle, for Sweet Child of Mine, if you watch, I forget, did they do a video for Patience?
Yes.
Okay. Those feel 80s.
Yes.
But when I watch the trilogy for Don't Cry, November Rain, and Estranged, it feels early 90s. Because later in the 90s, it does change. It does have a huge feeling change, especially, like I said, with all the overproduction and things like that. In the early 90s, keep in mind, you still had the computer technology of that time, which wasn't great. at all. So they didn't do anything like on the level of like Puff Daddy or Mace or what. Britney Spears wasn't even like that, but God, there were so many other videos later on. I know, what was it? Daft Punk. They had some really cheesy computer animation.
Yeah.
That was like the mid 90s and starting to push later on. But the early 90s, you still had legit videos with production value that wasn't just computer generated, production. I feel like it can stay on the list.
I would disagree. You mentioned about how it doesn't feel like an 80s music video. It feels like a 90s music video. I actually disagree. As much as, yes, better production, but if you had told me that that video came out in 89 instead of 91, I'd be like, okay, that sounds right. I love that video. I love Guns N' Roses. I love that song. I love the guitar solo and the piano. But if we're talking about a 90s list, I don't think that's like out of all the other nominees that we mentioned. In fact, I'll make an even bolder claim. I would sooner pick your other two videos over November Rain. And trust me, I feel a little pain in the back of my neck even saying that, because I love that video. But again, I'm looking at the topic, and to me, as epic of a video as that is, I feel like all the other nominees that we have are much more better capture the 90s. November Rain captures the end of elaborate, glamorous rock. But to me, that also, what that video is the epitome of what the 90s were not. They were about grunge, about being distilled, maybe being not perfect. That's how I look at it too. Because like, if this was the 80s, it's a whole different game part. Because like, to me, like the 90s, again, as great of production as it even proved, and even computerized, as some of it looked kind of cheesy at the time, it was a step up. To me, past 92, Guns N' Roses became a little irrelevant in the times. And you kind of see that in how they struggled with band members. They struggled with even recording an album that didn't come out until decades later. That's just my 2 cents. And I'll put it like this. I would be comfortable with having a list that was Buddy Holly, Weezer, Jamiroquai, 90% sure I pronounced that correctly, and Alanis Morissette, Ironic. Because to me, because I also feel like those three videos highlight how unique of a time era the 90s were, both in the production, both in the concepts, and even just both in just in the styles. Okay.
You know what? I can accept that then. Yeah. And I'll tell you why.
And trust me, I feel kind of like about like not including Black Hole Sun, but I feel like Buddy Holly is a good placement instead of Black Hole Sun.
Right. And I would argue tooth and nail, just like we are about Guns N' Roses, that the Soundgarden video isn't 90s iconic.
Oh, I would.
Well, here's the reason why. Because when you talk about all these other videos, instantaneously you knew what I was talking about. Instantaneously.
You didn't know what I was talking about, Black Hole Sun?
I don't remember it as vividly as I can recall each of these other videos.
All right.
I mean, yeah, it might be different for everybody else, but for me, Britney Spears, yes, I know it. I'm not gonna argue that I don't know the Britney Spears video. For Guns N' Roses, yes, it's a very long video, but I can pick out moments in the video where, it's very iconic and very this, that, and the other thing. Alanis Morissette, everybody knows that video. Soundgarden, some people are probably going to say, what are you talking about?
Maybe we should ask you all to let us know if you remember that song
or what your favorite videos are.
Before we really make a pledge to ask you about that, let's recap.
All right.
So it's because it sounds like we came to a final three.
I think we got our final three.
So to recap, we have, in no particular order, Weezer, Buddy Holly.
Yep. Jamiroquai, Virtual Insanity.
And Alanis Morissette, Ironic. I think that's actually a pretty good list.
It's a little too ironic.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, Zach, I really do think.
It's like, yeah. So
I love the video. I don't know the lyrics.
I never said I was good at lyrics. But I think this just kind of goes, I mean, all 6 videos that we even talked about, relatively different music videos. And I think that was what made the 90s so special, is that you could at some point during the day tune on to MTV and see a Guns N' Roses video followed by a Soundgarden video, or followed by
Britney Spears.
A Britney Spears video. I was about to say like different times, but if you think about it, by the end of the 90s, VH1 was really just like a history for music thing. So there's a chance that you probably did see something about November Rain, whether it was a documentary about it or whatnot, and Hit Me Baby One More Time within the same hour.
And even on YouTube, there's people who will put these lists together, and you will get like when I was doing research for this, you'll get like Insane in the Membrane, and then you'll get Britney Spears.
Insane in the Brain.
You see, you're good with lyrics.
I am good with lyrics.
And then you get Britney Spears, and then you'll get Guns N' Roses, and through doing all of my research, I don't. Once again, go back to Soundgarden, I don't remember the Soundgarden even being a part of a list. But I digress. We came up with our list.
Real side note, and I'm sorry because I know this means we're going a little bit longer, but it killed me to not include this video on the list. But it doesn't count because even though the song was recorded in 1999, the video did not come out until 2000, which means it's not a 90s video.
Okay.
Blink-182's All the Small Things.
I know.
That to me, at first I was like, oh yeah, definitely that, because that was such an amazing parody of everything you saw on TRL. Actually, an amazing parody of all the pop music videos of the 90s. And it really killed me that I couldn't include it because of the technicality. Because I would have fought tooth and nail if that was even released in 99. I would have fought tooth and nail for that video to be in our top 3.
And then I'll give you one honorable mention since you gave one. My honorable mention would have been Eminem's "My Name Is."
I'm actually surprised you didn't pick that one.
I wanted to, but then in the scope of what I was going for, I just felt like it fell a little short, especially with, we're talking 90s iconic videos. We talk Jamiroquai and Buddy Holly and things like that, but I just felt like it lost a little bit of something from what you really think of an Eminem video. Like, I wanted to do "My Name Is," but that was 2002. The Real Slim Shady, that was, I think, somewhere in there.
My Name Is? I thought that was 99.
No. Well, excuse me, My Name Is in 99, but The Real Slim Shady, that was
in 2000.
2002, I think.
I think that was 2000. The Real Slim Shady?
It was post
the time, yeah.
Right. So I wanted to pick one of those songs, but I couldn't. And just looking at "My Name Is" in comparison to those other videos.
Oh yeah, it doesn't.
It wasn't what you knew Eminem for, and it wasn't. I don't think it was as iconic in the 90s because you didn't know who Eminem was, and most people didn't take Eminem very seriously.
Oh yeah.
On the first album, when he came back with the second album, that's when a lot of people were like, "Okay, he's a little bit more serious, and he's got some cred to him at this point."
I think we'll have to say, I feel like I can go into a whole Marshall Mathers discussion that we'll have to say for when we do an episode about the 2000s era of music. Yeah. But again, real quick recap: Weezer's Buddy Holly, Jamiroquai's Virtual Insanity, and Alanis Morissette's Ironic. Those are the top 3 greatest 90s music videos according to us. Do you agree, disagree? Let us know in the comment sections on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Epic Footnotes. Let us know what you think and what videos you think we should have discussed. But as always, thanks for listening.
All right, guys, take it easy. See you next time.